Picture this. You've worked for 40 years, paid your taxes, saved what you could, and now at 65, you realize you have less than $25,000 per year to live on. Here's the uncomfortable truth no one wants to talk about. Most Americans do not have enough money to retire, not even close. According to recent research from the Schwartz Center for Economic Policy Analysis, only about 35% of people approaching retirement feel they're on track. Think about that. 2 out of 3 Americans nearing retirement age know they're heading for financial trouble. And here's the kicker. Half of Americans aged 62 to 74 cannot count on even $25,000 per person per year in retirement. To put that in perspective, that's about $2,083 per month to cover housing, food, healthcare, utilities, and everything else. The United States has an elderly poverty rate of 23%. Compare that to Canada at around 12%, France at 4 to 5%, and the Netherlands at just 3%. We're supposed to be the wealthiest nation on earth, yet nearly 1 in 4 older Americans lives in poverty. Today, we're going to break down exactly how we got here, and what, if anything, can be done about it. Before we dive into the crisis, we need to understand what enough actually means. There are 3 main ways experts measure retirement readiness, and America is failing on all 3 counts. First, can you meet your basic needs? This is the bare minimum: food, shelter, healthcare, utilities. Second, can you stay above the poverty line? The official U.S. poverty level in 25 is $1,550 for a single person and $21,050 for a couple. This threshold was designed based on the cheapest way to get 2,000 calories a day, multiplied by 3. It's meant to maintain life for a short period, not a sustainable existence, especially in old age when healthcare costs skyrocket. Third, can you maintain your pre-retirement standard of living? This is where the numbers get scary. Boston College's National Retirement Risk Index shows that 39% of today's working-age households will not be able to maintain their standard of living in retirement. And that number might be artificially low because it was measured during a period of rising home prices, pandemic-era savings, and strong stock market gains. According to Aon's retirement framework, to sustain your standard of living from age 67 through about age 90, you need private assets equal to about 11.1 times your final annual spending. So if you want to spend $100,000 a year from private wealth in retirement, you'd need to have about $1.1 million saved by age 67. How many Americans have that? Almost none. Let me put this in perspective. If the retirement age is 67 and you need $25,000 in annual retirement income from age 67 through age 90, that's 23 years, you need approximately $600,000 saved by age 67 to be financially ready for retirement. But here's the big problem. According to the 2016 Health and Retirement Survey, among adults ages 51 to 56, the median private retirement wealth was about $55,000. To be on track for retirement, they should have already had about $350,000 saved. They were off by almost $300,000. Think about that gap for a moment. They weren't just a little behind. They had less than 1/6 of what they needed. So what does $55,000 in retirement savings buy you? Under optimistic assumptions, 5% returns, 20-year time horizon, no early withdrawals, it would support roughly $4,113 per year. That's about $368 per month. Here's what this means. At retirement, half of Americans ages 62 to 74 will be unable to weather a major financial shock, such as widowhood, serious illness, or the need for long-term care. In other words, 50% of Americans will retire poor and live in poverty, or dangerously close to it, from the moment they stop working. So, how did we get here? The answer lies in one of the biggest economic experiments in American history, one that is rarely talked about. In 1978, Congress passed the Revenue Act, which included Section 401k, a provision that allowed employees to defer compensation from bonuses or stock options on a tax-free basis. Nobody thought much of it at the time. Then, in 1979, a benefits consultant named Ted Benna had an idea. He realized he could use this obscure tax provision to let employees contribute pre-tax money to retirement accounts while getting an employer match. His first client rejected it as too risky. But when his own company, the Johnson Companies, became the first to offer a 401k plan in 1981, everything changed. By 1983, nearly half of all large firms offered or were considering offering a 401k plan. Companies loved it because it was cheaper and more predictable than traditional pensions. Employees were told it would put them in a better position to retire. Two bull market runs in the 1980s and 90s pushed 401k accounts higher, creating optimism. But then two recessions in the 2000s erased those gains and prompted serious second thoughts. Here's the key shift. In 1979, 38% of private sector workers had traditional defined benefit pension plans that provided a fixed payout for life. In recent years, that number had collapsed to just 13%. What replaced pensions? 401k and other defined contribution plans that put all the risk on workers. Unlike pensions, which provide guaranteed income for life, 401k rise and fall with financial markets. You're responsible for deciding how much to save, where to invest it, and how to make it last. The problem? 401k have several fatal flaws. First, access is unequal. According to the Economic Innovation Group, more than 78% of full-time workers earning under $27,000 per year lack access to any retirement plan, compared with just 18% of those earning over $180,000. Secondly, contribution rates are too low. To reach adequate retirement savings, Aon estimates workers need to save about 16% of their pay starting at age 25. Typical contribution rates among the roughly half of employees who save at all are around 4 to 7%. Also, leakage is rampant. People dip into their 401k before retirement for emergencies, hardships, or when changing jobs. This leakage devastates long-term outcomes. This isn't just a personal finance problem. It's a looming economic and social catastrophe. First, there's Social Security itself. If Congress fails to act, the program will face an across-the-board benefit cut of about 21% by 2030. That would trigger both a political crisis and a humanitarian disaster. Social Security isn't just for low-income workers. It's the core pension system for the U.S. middle class. Almost all Americans age 65 and older receive it, and it provides about 31% of their total income on average. For millions, it's far more than 31%. It's everything. A 21% cut would devastate people who are already struggling. Remember, half of Americans ages 62 to 74 have less than 25,000% in annual income. Cut that by 21%, and you're looking at people trying to survive on less than $20,000 a year. So, what can be done? Let's be honest about what individuals can control versus what requires systemic change. If you're still working and have access to a 401k, contribute at least enough to get the full employer match. That's free money. Try to gradually increase your contribution rate to 15 to 16% if possible. Don't touch your retirement savings before retirement. No loans, no early withdrawals. Consider delaying Social Security until age 70 if you can, which increases your benefit by about 8% per year. If you're nearing or in retirement, consider downsizing or relocating to a lower cost of living area. Look into phased retirement or part-time work. But here's the truth. Individual actions alone cannot solve a systemic crisis. You cannot personally fix a retirement system that's broken by design. Here's what needs to happen. Strengthen and expand Social Security. The program urgently needs additional revenue. The goal should be to bring U.S. elder poverty rates in line with peer nations. Countries like France and the Netherlands keep almost all older adults above the poverty line by setting basic and minimum pensions high enough. The U.S., as a wealthy country, could do the same. Create universal guaranteed retirement accounts, GRAs, where every employer contributes. Funds are pooled and professionally managed. Accounts provide guaranteed lifetime income. Accounts are portable across jobs. GRAs supplement Social Security, not replace it. The closest current proposal is the Retirement Security for All Americans Act, RSAA, in Congress. This would automatically enroll all workers without a pension or 401k into a universal, portable, pooled retirement plan with guaranteed employer and employee contributions. Bring back guaranteed income. The Secure Act of 22 made it easier for employers to offer annuities, financial products that provide guaranteed income for life, within workplace retirement plans. This is a step in the right direction, though there's still resistance due to complexity, costs, and misperceptions about annuities. This retirement crisis is real, but it's not inevitable. The question isn't whether we can afford to fix this. The question is whether we can afford not to. Because when half of Americans retire into poverty or near poverty, when 80% of older households can't withstand a financial shock, that's not just a retirement crisis. That's a moral crisis.